friends. This is your pal Edwards here speaking with the incredible relationship counselor and savior, Sue Geelan. How are you today, Sue Geelan?
Hey, I am amazing and I feel great.
It's just so good to be here. Just so you know, for our friends around the world, Sue Geelan's an amazing lady. I am sitting here right now with my phone to keep track of your comments, and it's great having you with us. So now I've titled this live stream "Making Difficult Relationships Awesome" with Sue Geelan and Edwards here. And again, you help save relationships and marriages and travel. Tell us all about it, Sue.
Well, I mean, usually, okay. When couples start to get into trouble, all right, in order to sort of, grow love and so forth, I usually do my 4 T's, all right? We spend time together, we talk, we sort of touch, hug and kiss and all that sort of stuff, and then we become a team, which is including respect and trust, right? That grows up. Now, the issue is if we start to get into dysfunction, one of those T's has failed, and if one fails, they all fail, okay? So oftentimes that's when we start to, think about, or we start to, sort of deal with, very difficult relationships, all right? Because either we're not spending time with each other, or if it is, it's very surfacey. You're in the same room, but you go on your phones, you're doing other things. So you're becoming flatmates. If you then, need help and support and stuff like this, then we're sort of not talking and that type of thing. Okay. Now, when one of these breakdowns, they all break down, and then it just tends to go worse and worse and worse. So we start doing behaviors. We start doing behaviors that we start becoming, meaner to each other when we sort of get into toxic.
So jumping in there, I love where you're going because it's so true. It's like things are going well, then all of a sudden one of the T's break down. What were the T's again?
All right, spending time. Talking.
Touching.
And becoming a team. And for becoming a team means that you respect one another and you trust one another.
And you're right. You only need one to tip over. And you're right. It all collapses very quickly. And you're so spot on. I just remember this throughout life. When it collapses, things can go dark very quickly, can't they? It can go it can be like you can be in a great relationship, but once it collapses, it tends to become a disaster. It can turn into a disaster in a few days, can't it, Sue?
Yeah, very much so, because, and then it becomes about self-preservation. It then becomes about, okay, I've got to protect myself and my own heart and emotions and all this sort of stuff. So therefore we then go from being very loving towards each other, very open, that when we sort of start to get these, sort of toxicities coming in, we start breaking down of the 4 T's, we now start to go inward, and then we start to become more selfish because I need to protect my heart.
And I guess as well, I'm thinking that, again, this is many, many years ago, obviously pre-Lassie, but I remember one relationship I was in. This is the one I'm sort of gelling with, right? And it was exactly that. The relationship was okay. It wasn't the best relationship ever, but the relationship was okay. And what actually would happen is she wouldn't spend much time with me anymore, right? For whatever reason, right? Probably seeing someone else, who knows, right? And when she started spending less time with me, everything just collapsed very, very quickly. And I remember it went from loving to adversarial very quickly, right?
Very much.
And when I eventually had enough of her and walked out on her, she was all surprised, right? And I was so incensed. I didn't care by then. So you're right. It's sort of like my self-preservation kicked in, and I went from loving partner to, in a way, adversary very quickly.
Yeah. And in fact, almost indifference. I don't care. I just don't care.
I don't know. You know how there's 5 stages? Is it 5 stages of grief, right?
Oh.
Is that it? I don't know. You know the stages of grief?
I don't know. Is it 8? I don't know.
I don't know. I know this is Dr. Phil psychology. It's not proper Sue psychology, right? But I don't know. There's 5 stages of grief. I went through 5 stages of hatred. And after I hated her, I just went to, I don't care anymore. Come and get me mode.
Yeah, very much so. And that's obviously sort of where the issues, the issues go. And again, I go back to my sort of, suism. I've got a suism here that I
Suism.
create. A
I like
suism.
it. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it. I like the suisms. They're very,
Yeah.
very savvy, Sue.
and
Very
and
savvy.
it's usually this is that we fall in love with who they are. We divorce or separate for what they do or don't do. Okay.
True.
Oftentimes we get to a point where we're fighting, but it's all about emotions and it's all about accusatory. You do this, you make me angry, you feel this, you do this. All right. You're not helping out, you're not doing anything, that type of thing. And so when we fight emotions don't have a solution. And that's where your toxicity comes into, because then it becomes literally about tit for tat. If you're going to sort of say something bad about me, I'm going to make you worse, because I'm in pain, you've got to be in pain.
In that relationship I was in 20 years ago, that's exactly how I behaved, right? She would make a move and I'd just sit there and outdo her. So it's just a literal race to the bottom.
Very much so, and that's where, and if it kept going like this, and when we get to that meh, I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
then
that's it. I'm out.
That's probably when the relationship, will get to the point of ending. Yeah. But if you can get to before then and realize that these are just behaviors, guys, these are just behaviors. Change the behaviors, put new stuff into the relationship, put new tools and strategies, build a new one, we can actually save it, because you didn't love one another in the first place. Even with you and Lassie, you didn't love one another when you first met.
Right.
You spent time, you talked, you touched, you become a team, and love grew.
Exactly.
Right? And that's the same thing, is that, until someone literally gets to a point where it is, you know what, I'm done. There is literally no emotion, then, and no inclination to, sort of save the relationship. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done. Well, that's when a relationship ends, when you've literally kind of almost literally walked out the door. But even if you say, well, at the minute, I don't feel anything because I'm numb, that's okay, in terms of that, because again, you didn't love one another when you first met. But we've got to build a new relationship, and both of you have to work. And usually I always sort of say, if and the work I'm doing is play, basically, relationships should be fun. They should be fun. If they are not fun, we're not doing something right. And so the work that we put in, that's why I hate the word work. It sounds duty and
the positive energy we put in.
So the positive, the play that we put in,
the energy, the playing we put in. There we go. That sounds better.
It does, doesn't it? It means that if you're at least willing, that you both are willing to do the play and to actually focus on the two of you, then that love will grow, because love is an emotion, and if you feed it, it will grow. If you don't feed it, it will die. Like, simple as that.
Yeah, incredible. And I just want to check in with our fans. We've got Akansha with us. Welcome. And she made a few reactions, and I'll have to get your reaction too. Even long-distance relationships and marriages are too difficult. And if you just come in, like, share, comment. If you're watching the recording too, leave any questions or remarks. And while we're on that topic, I want to ask you about long-distance relationships, Sue. That's going to be the hardest thing ever, right? Being in a long-distance relationship. Tell us all about them, because I think they're the hardest things ever, long-distance relationships, I think.
They are. Obviously we one of the 3 T's, will not work. Obviously touch, because we're not there. But look, I'm telling you guys, it all starts out with your why. All right? Your why. Why are you, look, there's usually 2 questions, all right? Why are you in a relationship, all right, as a whole? Why not just stay single? What are you getting? What do you want to get from being in a relationship, all right? Because you must be getting something, that whole what's in it for me. Well, what's in it for you? in a relationship. And then, why them? And why them is oftentimes is that when we meet a potential person who is going to, potentially be our partners, we kind of get a body thing that happens. A little body thing that goes, oh, okay, I've got to pay attention here. Yeah. And when we have that body thing, that kind of tells you, because we don't get that with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. We don't get that. We get that only with certain people that we meet, and only and so when we do get that, we have to listen to it, because body speaks to body, and bodies can't lie. Did you know that? Bodies cannot lie. Our words can, our bodies cannot. So if something doesn't feel right, then listen to it. If you get the body thing happening, then, there is something there. So that's a positive. And when you have that, then we've got to put the good stuff in place, because we don't get that with any or many other people at all. It might be one. And, if we divorce someone, you might find it again with someone else. But it's only like, so that kind of tells you something.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and I suppose that's what the miracle of love and relationships are. And people sort of talk about maybe an arranged marriage. Well, they may not have the kind of the body thing, but if they put the good stuff in place, if they spend time together, quality time, if they do talk and share and everything like this, then again, love will grow because you're feeding it.
Yeah. I love it, and I love what you said earlier. I don't think too many people put enough thought into this. Here's the thing, right? And this happens to me all the time. So the majority of our clients are women, and every day I talk to awesome women who are they're either in relationships they're not happy with, or they're out of relationships and want to get into one, right?
Yeah.
And I'm hardly Sue Geelan, and I certainly don't pretend to be, right? I always say to people, why are you, like, let's say they're complaining to me about their relationship, right? My first question is what you said. Why are you in the relationship? Because if you're in a relationship that is just awful and you're getting no benefit from it, it's not a rude thing to say, why are you in it? Should you consider getting out of it? And I know so many people who are in relationships with people they shouldn't be in relationships with. And what do you think on that one, Sue?
I think there is, especially going on, sort of the behaviors and how you're being related, how you relate to one another. There's sort of, obviously sort of some people are in it for themselves.
Yeah.
They have a certain amount of dysfunction within their own, the me side of things. Sometimes we get into a relationship because we want someone to look after us, to rescue us.
Yeah.
We want someone to make us feel good because we hate who we are. So we look at, so sometimes you may be getting into a relationship for the wrong reason.
Yeah, I used to do that. I used to have a really bad relationship with myself, and that would create a void in my feelings, and that would motivate me to jumping into relationships with women and I realized, it's a terrible, and I hate to say it, I did it and I'm ashamed of it. I wish I never did it, but I find a lot of people like that. A lot of people are entering relationships not because of any affinity and not for any love to that person, but because they want to solve a problem in themselves. Yeah. And I think that's the worst reation to enter a relationship.
Yeah. And if you're going into it selfishly, then the relationship will not last because simply because people will get to a point where they just sort of say, you know what, I've been so sucked dry from your need of want that I've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And so forth. So, it depends the reason. If you're coming into a relationship, because you want to give and share your life with someone as a journey, as a partner, then, you could have the most awesome relationship ever. If you're wanting someone to fulfill you, to
Yeah.
complete you, because the fact that you're almost requesting and accusing them of not coming to, you've got certain expectations, you've got certain assumptions that you're
Yeah.
here to make me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Right? You're here to make me feel good about myself, and that is not sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's funny.
in a relationship like that, that's a point in time where you sort of say, you know what, I've got to get out.
Yeah, yeah. Now, in my 20s, I've done that. So I've been the bad guy doing it, which I horribly regret and condemn my own behavior.
No, Edward, no, not you.
No, totally me. And interestingly, but don't worry, of the crimes I committed, karma got me back later on. Don't you worry about that, right? So that's funny because in my 20s, I entered some relationships for the wrong reasons, and I did some things that I'm ashamed about, and I did some things that don't reflect who I want to be, right? And it's terrible, right? And interestingly, though, don't worry, justice was served to me in my 30s, right? So I think of all the naughty things in my 20s, justice got served on me in a form of an airstrike in my 30s. And I remember this was, I even joked at the time saying, yeah, I kind of deserve this. I kind of asked for it. So what happened was obviously pretty awesome lassie, relationship with this woman. Now, she actually asked me out and I said no at the start, right? I said no at the start. And my reason is that she was a bit of a lazy character. I said to her straight, look, I'm quite a motivated, ambitious business sort of guy. To be honest, I'm not sure if we're on the same level. And she really got me good. She kind of said, oh, don't worry, Ed, we'll do it together. It'll be great. You're motivating me and inspiring me. Anyway, what happened was got a relationship with this character and it was just me doing all the work. They were just such a drain. And it was exactly, they got revenge on me for all the bad things I did in my 20s. Basically, they had a void and I was just merely a filler for the void in their own life, right? And I picked that up very quickly. And what you said at the start of the conversation became true. You know, the whole, was it time, touch, trust, and what's the other one?
Time.
Yeah.
Talk.
Talk. There you go.
Touch.
Yeah.
And team.
Yes. So team and trust just went out the window. So I just felt like team. She was just in it.
You probably felt used.
Yeah, I felt totally scammed, right? And it was funny because the moment I felt used, the relationship was over a few days ago. So it's funny, the moment I had that feeling of, hang on, you've just played me and used me as a piggy bank, which they did, right? I basically got used as a piggy bank. I remember it was like a week after feeling that way, the relationship was over, right? And it was amazing because I started pushing back on them with all the crap they were doing. And then all of a sudden they were out of there. And I was like, there you go. I knew it. And it's funny because what that person did to me is what I tragically did to other people was they weren't with me because they loved me. They were with me just because I fulfilled a role or a need. I knew I slotted into an empty part of their life. And I think that's really, I agree with you. I think when you're with someone just because you're feeling incomplete, that's a terrible thing.
Terrible. And relationships will not work and will not last. And you will just end up with a whole plethora of pain. Sort of emotional and things like this, and and everything like this. And again, we sort of I go to the I go to the body thing. All right. Yeah. Remember I said the body cannot lie. If something doesn't feel right, that is a red flag. Yeah. Leave. Get out of the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember, for my own, this is before David, the sort of the boys were in there. We used to be this little kind of nitpicky, sort of sarcastic-y sort of thing. And for me, because I wanted the relationship so much.
So they take a jeer or a jest at you, like a dig at you. Is that what you mean?
But it's at me personally, something about my character or personality that they don't like. And so you sort of start to rationalize it and go, well, is this just me and I'm being too hard? I'll just sort of see what happens, and things like this, and then we sort of get sucked in, and that type of thing, because we might have that need to be in a relationship, right?
Mm.
But if you've got that strong sense of me, then the minute you feel something's not right, okay, that body thing is not right, then listen to it. Please listen to it, and don't get into a relationship if something doesn't feel right. And you
Yeah.
will save yourself so much pain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because and always always listen to your gut, because the gut knows. Because again, why it does so is because communication, body language is 55% of your communication. How you stand, how you kind of do, all this sort of stuff, right? Body talks to body. And this is why the body cannot lie. Our words can, right? Which means that if something doesn't feel right, your body is talking to their body, and you've got to listen to it, because it tells you the truth oftentimes.
Yeah. I got something. I got something very relevant but funny, and you'll like this. So a bit of trivia. So I used to be in the Australian Army and also the Australian Federal Police doing drug enforcement. And I remember when I did more drug enforcement and search and that when I was in the AFP. But I remember when you're taught in policing how to sort of basically dominate someone and control situations, right? And I remember it was all very much, and you'd have seen this, like if you're walking down the street and someone's pulled over by the side of the road and you hear the cop dressing him down, it's funny how their words are, like a cop's words to the person is perfectly polite. Like the actual words on paper sound good, but the tone and delivery is very derogatory. Like, for example, good example, I used to live in, Parramatta and Western Sydney, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I used to live there. It's now wonderful. When I lived there, it was a bit of a dodgy part of town, but now it's wonderful, of course. Anyway, and I would always see at Parramatta train station, you have like a druggie on the wall and a bunch of cops surrounding him. The cops would always stand over and say, like, the cops are like chewing gum, going, like really adversarially, and they'll say, "How are you, mate? What's going on?" Like, that very. So, how are you,
Nice.
mate? Yeah, how are you, mate? On paper sounds great, but I'll be like, "How are you, mate?" Like in a threatening tone, and then the suspect will go, "Oh, I'm not doing nothing." The cop will be, "Oh, it seems like you're doing something. What's in the bag, mate?" And then the person will go, "Oh, it's nothing in my bag." "Oh, yeah, very nice day, isn't it? Seeming a bit nervous about your bag, mate." So it's kind of funny. It's like I always found it on paper the words are lovely, but the delivery is just terrifying.
I know, because of the stance, the body
Yeah,
language.
and doing that, and like quite often they got gum. The cops like, and they're deliberately chewing gum with their mouth open as that real sign of subtle disrespect to the person.
Yeah. So again, listen to your body, all right, in terms of when you're meeting with sort of someone, because if it doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
get the hell out of there.
Yeah. And we got wonderful Akansha with us who's watched it. She's talking about why are police so aggressive, and sometimes relationships can become toxic in response to before. But yeah, I agree with you. I think as well. I love the trust one actually. I don't know. It's probably just me projecting, but I love how you talked about trust, because whenever I've been in a relationship, whenever I felt like the other person isn't on my team, it's like a week later, the relationship's over. And I think, thinking of that relationship I was reacting to before, I think when I decided she was in it for herself and didn't care about me, there was like 5 days left in the relationship.
Yeah. And sometimes it could be like that, and then people stay, especially if there are kids involved. And then it becomes more about then sort of self-preservation and just surviving. And that's
amazing. I just want to ask you another question. Just came to mind. Sorry. Codependency. Someone actually asked me. So someone I was talking to, and I actually mentioned I was going to ask you about it. they're actually saying, Ed, I think I enter a lot of codependent relationships, right? And they were telling me why they entered relationships, and I just want to hear it straight from the authority's mouth. What is a codependent relationship, and what are some of the signs that we're in one?
I think we sort of talked about it at the beginning, but a
Okay.
codependent, sort of means that I depend on you to make me feel good about myself. Okay.
I used to do that back in the day. Bad. I used to do that.
Yeah. I think that's what codependency, you're depending on the person to make you feel good.
So in other
Okay.
words, I don't feel that good because of me. So now I've got you as a partner. It's your job to make me feel good. And if you don't, you're the problem and you can. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that in my 20s, which
Yeah.
I regret and condemn on every level.
um, because one of the things is, and I think I've talked about our superpower. Have we talked about my superpower? Do we have a
Uh,
superpower?
Not this time, but we have previously. But please tell us about the superpower
Yes.
right now, Sue Geelan.
All right. And this is why a codependent relationship can never work successfully where both of you are happy. Because in our superpower is these two little statements. In order to have, being able to recognize your own emotions, we can control how we react or respond.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of that, because of our superpower, nobody can make you feel anything unless you give them permission.
Yeah.
Nobody. So if you're wanting, say, Ed, we were in a, relationship and I was sort of saying, well, look, I don't love who I am. So I'm now relying on you to make me feel loved.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that simply because you can't fix, right? You can't fix my emotions.
Yeah.
Because you could do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
You could do everything. You could show me love until the yin yang happens. But if I don't choose to accept that, you can't fix it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't fix it. So you could be doing, and this is why we get sucked. All right, dry is because of the fact that if you're doing stuff in that codependency, all right, and you keep trying to make your partners feel good and all this sort of stuff, right? And then they push it back in your face and say, well, I don't deserve that. Then what have you just done? You can't do any more because you can't fix someone else's emotions. And that's why codependency can't work, because you're depending too much. You're depending too much. It's almost like, it's almost like you're sort of, in our lives, where you're sort of sitting on them, and how they live their lives, we become attached to their life. So we kind of live almost vicariously through them and what they do, which means we lose our identity, we lose the purpose of our lives, because we sort of get stuck on their life, right? Because we've got the issue, and they can never fix that, because oftentimes we don't let them, because they can't fix someone else's emotions.
Yeah. It's funny, codependency. It's so common, isn't it? I know so many people in relationships today that are fully codependent. And I imagine the solution to codependency is building your own strength in your own inner core, isn't it? So, I mean, let's face it. Let's say you're in a codependent relationship with someone, but you actually love the person. The solution would be you can still be in a relationship with that person, but lose the codependency. Really learn to love yourself. Is that a fair way of looking at it, Sue?
Totally fair way, right? Because in my Loving We program, I sort of answer the statement of, like, in order to have an amazing we, you must have a strong sense of me.
So it's
Right.
exactly what we're saying. So so if I have a weak sense of myself, it's going to tarnish my relationship. If I have a strong sense of self, that will enable a great relationship.
Yeah.
Ooh, you've thought it all through, haven't you, Sue? You've got it all, as per all the many degrees on the back wall behind you.
Yeah.
You've had years of plotting this
And
all out.
yes, and 36 years of marriage.
Yeah, there you go. In fact, out of interest, I can't quite read it. Over your right shoulder with the silver frame, is that Queensland University of Technology? What is that? What is that
Yes.
degree on the wall over your right shoulder? What's that one?
That's this one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the silver one. What's that one?
That is a Master of Counselling.
Wow, from Queensland University of Technology.
Queensland University. Yeah, yeah. And, for all these degrees up here, that is not bad for someone who actually left school at grade 10.
Yeah, in fact, I know this is off topic, but it's on topic. But didn't all your sisters or whatever call you an illiterate loser, and now you're running around for masters, and your husband's a big academic?
I don't know whether they call it. I mean, I used to think of myself as that. The year 10
call you
dropout.
You told me they wouldn't say you're illiterate, but they basically called you a dumbass or something, didn't they? What was it again? What did they call you?
I don't know whether it was me, but I definitely thought that myself. I was a year 10 dropout. And when David sort of said, go to university, I literally cracked up laughing in his face, and I said, yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah.
4 degrees later, and it's like, okay, yes, it happened.
I think it's quite tragically funny. It's like you were the year 10 dropout and everyone thought was a loser, and now you're one of the most qualified people around, and you're married to your husband's like a super ultra high powered academic leader. So I think it's quite funny how things have done the full 180 for you.
I know, and it's sort of like, okay, I sometimes even pinch myself and go sort of like, am I actually living this life, or is this just a dream?
Oh, you're killing it.
Just a dream. But we're sort of saying that we didn't start start off obviously with a happy marriage like a lot of people do. Because because I came from dysfunction. So I had a lot of kind of baggage that I brought in, and fortunately I did give him an out. I did sort of say, look, hey, I don't want to marry me. I'll give you an out. But he just sort of grabbed hold of me and sort of said, you know what? Nah, you're not going anywhere. We're going to do this together. And I said, okay, all right. Since we've made this choice, then we've got to make this work because I sort of said to David, look, I said, I do not have, because of where I came from, I said, I do not have the emotional energy to have more than one. So we've got to make this work. And so the question for us all the time is how? How are we going to make this work? And, I suppose for the first 3 years that we were together, literally we talked. We talked scenario after scenario after scenario about what would he do? What would I do? Now, what are we going to do together?
Yeah.
And when we sort of, did that, we sort of, we sort of got our ideas and we sort of got everything in place, and then we sort of, we ended up living it, right? Just ended up living it. Brought up our kids in the way of things, and I think we brought up our kids majorly differently. And one of the things that I thought is, I sort of see myself as a fairly lazy person. Not that I am, but I think of myself.
Oh yeah, you run a business. You're a mother. You work all week. You're a master's. Oh, you're lazy. You're on Centrelink. You're a dull blood. What? Come on. Yeah, you're a household. You're not.
I mean, but actually, for both Dave and I do the same thing, because I think we're so laid back, type of thing. He sort of thinks that he's lazy, and I'm sort of thinking, what do you do?
He's like a high-end manager at one of Australia's top university. He flies everywhere. Oh, he's a loser. Your husband's an illiterate dropout.
So my take on parenting, and I suppose a take on my relationship whole, is that I want things easy.
Yeah.
I want things easy. If it's easy for me,
Yeah.
then the kids will thrive.
Yeah.
If it's hard for me and things like this, then it could get to the point of, you know, that I don't want them around because I've sort of got to put all this work in and stuff like this. So, you know, for my parenting, it became, I tell you what, guys, it became the most funnest time we've ever had, David and I. You know, because we made things easy. All right, and less stress and so, you know, sort of so forth. So, you know, I you know, one of my sort of saying is, you've got to start off how you wish to finish. And so one of the things is that, you know, especially with kids, you know, it's like, okay, where do I want to wish to finish? So I want them to be able to sleep anywhere. Okay, this is one example. I want them to sleep anywhere. So at the time we couldn't afford it. So we couldn't afford it. So we actually just had a single mattress and we stuck it on the floor. And so the new baby, the new baby coming home from hospital was on the floor on a mattress about that size, single mattress.
Awesome.
All right. And that's where she stayed for 6 months. Well, 6 months, well, like forever. But when she became crawling, boy, oh boy, it was the best thing we ever did.
Yeah.
Right, because when she kind of rolled off the edge of the bed, you know, it's only about that high.
Yeah.
So you know, she's not going to hurt herself.
It's no damage. Yeah, it's no damage.
We had all the toys around us, you know, around us, stuff like this. And when she kind of fell off the edge of the bed, then, you know, we, you know, Dave and I kind of woke up.
Yeah.
And we just laid there. We had fun. Passion on and all this sort of stuff and talking and so forth. And we could hear this child and that. It took her probably about an hour and a half to actually crawl from her room out the door, crawled across the little hallway, crawled into our room. We had a waterbed at the time, which had a wooden slats on the side.
Very 80s. That's very 80s of you, the waterbed.
And to tell you, I still got one.
Still got a waterbed. They're still around. Are they even still around?
Yeah, I still got one. Boy, they're the best things ever. Oh, I love them. We got a soft-sided one this time. We've got a soft-sided.
Real sign of the 80s. That's, you can't get more 80s than a waterbed. I remember them as a kid. They're ridiculous. No, you can't get more 80s than that.
They're fabulous. I still love them. And so we had the wood, and so she'd crawl herself up onto the wood, and then she would walk across the wood until she get to the head of the bed. So Dave and I had an hour and a half of sleeping. You know, we're sitting there talking and we were having hugs and everything like this until the child came up to the end. Oh, there you are, Dad. Nice to see you. Pick her up, and then we sort of spent the next 5 or 10 minutes having fun with her, and then she would start to whinge and, oh, breakfast time, you know. Whereas if you put her in the cot, if you had a cot with the bars, the moment she awakes, now you have to get up.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean by do things, you know, the easy way.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and because of that, it becomes then so much more fun because it's less stress, less hassle, and you can just enjoy relationships, because I keep sort of saying, you know, relationships are fun. Being in a relationship is fun. If we're not having fun, then get some help, or let's change the behavior so that we can actually have fun. Because, you know, by spending time with each other, having great, meaningful conversations, touching is fun. Becoming a team, resolving issues, building a life together, having someone to share your life with you, someone who's got your back. You know, someone who, if you fail at something, you've got someone to hold you. If they fail, you become the rock that they can hold on to. And as you share this life is hard enough, all right? But when you have someone sharing it with you, it just makes so much easier, lighter, and fun.
Yeah. And I love that point. And, you know, you got to be there for when your partner fails and not judge or condemn them. You got to be the person that, what is it? You know, you got to be, you know, on their side.
The rock that they can cling to. the rock that they can cling to until they get their equilibrium up, and then they'll be good to go.
Oh
And they become your rock, that when you sort of fail and things like this, you hold on to them, and that gives you then the strength to
And you're talking to a guy who's failed a lot in his life, so I totally understand that beat there, Sue Geelan.
Yeah. So and even science does this, right? Even science does this. Okay. Can I show your crew what I mean by that?
Of course you can. That's why we're here.
You go and talk for a minute.
Well, and as you, and by the way, that's why we're here with Sue Geelan. Sue Geelan is a powerful woman of integrity. Now, I just want to check in with our fans. If you come in, smash that like, share, and comment with Sue Geelan. She's off to get something. I don't know what it is. Hopefully, it's legal. What have you got for us, Sue Geelan? Is it a cake? Is it a puppy? Is it a kitten?
No, nothing like that. This is how science can sort of be with our relationships. Have you ever seen a magnet and iron filings?
Yes, I love that one. I always play with it as a kid. Magnet and iron filings.
Well, this is what, when you have a good relationship, you two become together. Oops, where is my hand? There. You two are together.
Yeah.
When you two are together and you're focusing on you two, where am I going? There we go. When you're focusing on you two and everything, kids, work, everything else is around, then look at the emotional energy that you two have when you two are together.
Yeah.
And some people sort of say, look, when we're in a relationship, I get lost. Well, when you do put all the good stuff in place, all the right stuff, then this says no, because here's the me. There's the me there. There's the me up here. And when you're together, you've got this beautiful we. And you've got more than enough energy to give to each other, to the kids, to the work, to community, to society. When you have dysfunction, when you are separated, all right, we then almost repel each other.
Well, it's like when you turn the magnets around and you try and force them against each other and you can't. And if you touch them for a second, it's like the more you force them is the more the force to push them apart.
Very much so. Right? And so with this one here, when you get, when you put all the good stuff in place, when you have fun, when things like this, then you've got, you get more than enough emotional energy to deal with anything the world throws at you. And that's why I really love this, because, when you have, when you're in a good relationship, okay, when you're in a good relationship, all right, and you are fully a me here and here, then you can fully surrender to the we and have all this beautiful emotional, this emotional. And I just love, I've had this as an idea in my head for good relationships since I was about 18.
Yeah, I now feel like buying a magnet and some iron filings and playing with it. So there you go. You got me back in the, year 7 science mode. I love it.
So that's it. That's a good relationship. And, and so it's amazing when you can get it right. And if you're in a difficulty, one of things like this, get some help, guys. It doesn't need to be for me, although you should, because I'm good at what I do.
Yeah, no, you're not good at what you do. You're great. And if you have got relationship issues, reach out to Sue right now. Add her on LinkedIn. Have a chat with Sue Geelan right now.
Yeah, because I said, remember, I do the me's. So if you're struggling, not to have that strong sense of me, you don't like who you are, you don't like, you sort of want to improve, you want to get better, you want to have that strong sense of me. Then I do have coming up in I think March or early April, depending, at the Loving Me program, where you, for a day masterclass, right, you actually learn how to become this beautiful, strong sense of me. So
sounds cool.
There you go. How does that sound? Do you like me?
Oh, I want to get a magnet. I want to go to Bunnings. I think you can buy them from Bunnings. I want to buy a bag of iron filings and a magnet and start playing with it with the kids. So
They're awesome. They're awesome.
No, but Sue Geelan, you're spot on. I just want to say thank you for your time. To all those watching, like, share, and comment. Reach out to Sue Geelan over LinkedIn. Sue, before we finish, can we get a final closing thought from you to cap off this amazing live stream?
What can I say? What can I say? Is that you get to choose your life. You only have one. All right.
One.
You only have one.
One.
You know, choose the people. All right. Your partner, your friends around you. If you're in a toxic job, see about trying to leave it. In terms of this, you only have one, and you don't want other people to drag you down. Get those people who are going to lift you up, to help and support you to become the best you can be, and live a life full of meaning and purpose and love.
Oh my God. Well said, friends. You've heard it from Sue Geelan. Connect with her. Sue, I know you're a busy lady, and thank you with your time. Have you got a stack of clients this evening, I bet?
I got two more tonight.
Oh,
I'll be working until 9 o'clock tonight.
Oh God! Well, let's leave you to it. Have a great evening. You're a busy lady, and thank you so much for your time, and appreciate you, Sue.
Alrighty, you take care. Bye, everyone.
Love
Please
your work,
like,
everyone.
reach out, have a chat with me. Happy to chat.
Love your work. Stay